Welcome to another episode of Field Phone Ops. Today we're going to talk about field phones and batteries and the different ways you can use to power your field phone. So sit back and here we go. I've been getting a lot of questions and commentary on a couple of my YouTube page and Facebook about batteries, and that is a good subject to talk about because different field phones use different batteries. A lot of the NATO in Western basically use D cells. The phones are set up, the compartments are built to hold D cell batteries. Then you get to the Eastern Pact, the Warsaw Pact. Some of the Russians use some really crazy batteries, different voltages, different style and sizes of batteries. And basically it's, how do you do this? I order a phone off of eBay. I want to hook it up and use it and, mess around with it. Now, well, how do I get it to work? They don't make this big square size battery anymore, or the connectors that line up and all that stuff. So basically I broke it down into basically some questions to ask. The first question we want to talk about is, how big is the battery compartment? I mean, can you get by with using double A's? Can D cells fit? That's what I'm saying. What's the required operating voltage? It's going to decide how many batteries you need, how you need to wire them. What kind of battery connections does the phone have? Does it have the little screw down screws or binding posts that you can just stick wires into and tighten up? Or does it have some kind of contacts that you got to slide and fit the battery into? What's the intended use for your phone? Are you going to use it for messing around, or is it the idea to deploy them into whatever situation you want to use? And also the other thing is, how long do you want the battery to last? Because a double A battery puts out 1.5 volts, but a D cell battery, which puts out 1.5 volts, lasts a lot longer than an A cell battery. So this is some of the things I'm talking about, and these are some of the things we're going to look at as we go on. Basically what I did was I sat down and I made a quick spreadsheet. Not quick, it took a while. And I basically listed all the phones that I have and have had experience with, and basically categorized them into basically the type phone, origin, battery type, operating voltage, and the what a modern equivalent voltage, and some remarks. And basically what it breaks down to, like I said before, most of the NATO Western batteries, with exception of the British, were built to hold D cell batteries. E8s, 312s, let's see, SP22, TP6, FT58, German FFO, OBZB, the Dutch phone. All those were designed basically to operate on D cell batteries. So basically you're covered there. When we're getting into the craziness, is a lot of the British phones were designed to operate with a square-shaped batteries that used 3 volts, but it was a square-shaped battery. And the British phone doesn't have actual binding posts to connect the battery to. It's actually got wires with loops on it that actually fit on the battery, which had little binding post screws. You just screw a little cap off, put this on, screw it on, and that's how the batteries worked. And then you get to the Warsaw Pact, the copies of the FF33s and that, the TAI 43s, and a lot of them, they actually had small binding posts on them where they put a battery in it. There was a big square battery that had wires on it, and you hooked a wire to each one of the binding posts, and you screwed the little toggles on to tighten it down. Now this is all fine and dandy. You can't get those batteries anymore. The good thing is, most of the way these phones were set up to operate was basically they work on 3 volts. Basically 2 AA, C, or D cell batteries will make them operate. 3 volts. There's a few of them we'll talk about as I go on. It takes a little bit more, but most of them operate on 3 volts. So that's where you need to look at the phone itself and the battery compartment, and what can I fit inside there? Can I fit two C cell batteries in a holder in there? We'll look at holders later on. And or do I have to use C cells or double A's? Or the other thing is, you need to ask, what am I going to use it for, and how long do I need the batteries to last? So these are some of the things we need to look at. Like I said, we'll talk about holders later. It gets really difficult when you get into the Warsaw Pact phones, especially some of the Soviet phones, some of the East German phones. There's some Bulgarian phones. They operate on 10 volts, and a 9-volt battery will make them work, but they got some really, really crazy battery compartments, and stuff just won't fit. So you really got to think about what you're going to do. So that's where I put this chart together. I'm going to have it on here. I'm probably also going to upload it into my my Google storage place. And if you want a copy of it, because you can't see it here, go ahead and hit my email up, and you'll be able to go into it and download it and look at it on the or get a copy of it downloaded. Also, there's some other crazy ones. For instance, some of the notes on here: the TP9 battery, which is a U.S. phone, takes basically four batteries. It takes a 4.5 volt battery to run the normal talk part of it. Then it takes three 22.5 volt batteries to run the vacuum tubes to make the amplifiers work. That's another one's going to have to be hand built or hand custom made. The Gray 6, the remote unit on the Gray 6 uses D-cell batteries to talk back and forth, but to operate in the radio mode and make the relays work on the local unit that's connected to the radio, you have to have a 45 volt battery that's not made anymore. So you have to custom make a battery. So that's why I put this chart together. And then, like I said, next we'll go into some of the different holders and the different ways you can put this stuff and get it wired in to work. Maybe later I'll look at doing a video on each particular phone about how to do it. I don't really want to go there right now. I think if I can give everybody an idea right now of what's available, where you can get it, how it looks, you pretty much can do it yourself. And sort of that's what I'm trying to do with this this video here. The first battery holders we'll talk about are the AA battery holders. Like I said, all these are available on Amazon. I have basically all three of these different types. And what it comes down to is what can you physically fit inside that compartment on the phone. And also how long do you want it to last. Basically, most of mine I'm using for demos when I set up my show and that. So AA's will work. There also is a big price difference between AA's and C's, if you know what I mean. And I do a lot of batteries, so I'll give you credit. But like I said, this is what you can look at. This works for a lot of the phones. It's got the wires already on it, so you can just screw it in place. It's actually got, it's hard to see on these, but it's got a small, in the upper right corner of the 4AA1, it's actually got a little on-off switch, which is nice because you can put the batteries in it, put it in, turn it on or off, and not have to take it all the way apart and remove the batteries when you don't want to use it. Okay, the next we're going to talk about is a D-cell, which same thing, what will fit in the phone and what won't fit in the phone. The C's and D's, basically the same thing. I've got some C-cell holders and some D-cell holders, depending on what you want to put it in. I've also ordered some of these adapter things they have on here that allows you to use a AA battery and put it in this holder and use it inside basically a D-cell phone. I'm going to try using some of these on my Norwegian TP6N because it holds 3 D-cell batteries, and I'm thinking for my purpose that having to buy all the D-cell batteries, I can use a lot more AA's. And also some of the other NATO phones I have, I'm going to try running it into instead of having to go out and buy all these D-cell batteries. Because like I said, it gets a little bit pricey at the time. So basically what you want to look at is what kind of phone and how big my battery compartment is. Next, we're going to talk about the 9-volt batteries. A lot of the Warsaw Pack phones you can see on the sheet actually use 10 volts to run them. And they have some really crazy shaped battery compartments, and the easiest thing to do is get one of these 9-volt battery holders like this. I have both these styles. I find the ones, the alligator clips, are the best though, because you can reach in there and clip them onto the different, one of them actually has snaps inside the phone. The other one has basically contacts where you have to force a battery into it, but you can take the alligator clips and clip it on that, and it works good. So those are the other way to go. Next, we're going to talk about the crazy battery that the TA57 and the P193 switchboard use. It's the square 10-volt battery you can see in the picture compared to a 9-volt. I've tried to find these. I've looked everywhere. I imagine they still make them in Russia or one of the countries like that, but I haven't found any place to buy them. But it is possible to take and wedge a 9-volt battery into these phones or into the TA57 and stuff some paper or something around to hold it in place to make it work. It'll like holding the contacts. But the P193 switchboard is a little bit different. I actually did a video where I actually installed the 9-volt battery in there and packed it with cardboard and everything to hold everything in place. And then a friend of mine says, can I print one of those for you? And I thought about it for a second. I said, you know what, that's not a bad idea. So the next one I'm going to go into, we'll go to the next slide, is what it looks like when you print one out. So he actually printed one, and I tried it out, and it worked really good. It fits in both. The only issue I had is the one for the P93, you actually have to tip it upside down and put it inside, and the battery falls out. That's why you see the rubber band wrapped around it so the battery doesn't fall out. You also need to check and see and make sure you get the polarity aligned right when you put it in. But it worked really good. I don't personally have a copy of that file to print it from, but if you get a hold of me in my email, I can drop a note to the guy that does own it, and I'm sure he wouldn't have any problem with sending it out. And if you want to print your own battery holder for these phones, you can print your own battery holders. And like I said in closing, the idea behind this was to let everybody have an idea about how you can do your batteries. I mean, it's not impossible. You just got to go out. All these battery holders I showed in this are available on Amazon. That's where I bought a lot of mine. I've got a whole drawer in my shop full of them. So, and whatever you find works best for you. If you find out that one particular holder that I didn't mention works good, or you want to try to be a purist and use the exact as close as you can to find the batteries. I don't know if a lot of them are made. Printing is another option. I know that there's an individual on the Field Phone Facebook page that actually prints basically replicas of the batteries they used in the FF-33s phones the Germans used during World War II, and that's basically what he does. He prints those out. This is pretty much it. If I missed anything or if you know of any more info, go ahead and please let me know. I don't know everything, so if you find something, go ahead and let me know, and thanks for watching.